G'day kids and mums and dads, Aaron here from Charlie Boots. Thank you for tuning in to another one of our online instructional videos. These videos are at the heart of what we do here at Charlie Boots because we're all about kids getting creative in the comfort of home and learning new amazing skills. So, talking about learning skills, today we're going to learn how to sketch. So I love sketching. I love to teach my kids how to draw. I love to do it myself. And I use it a lot when I'm thinking about projects that I'm making, or if I just want to pass the time. I pick up a piece of paper and a pencil and I just start drawing. So I think it's an amazing skill that all kids should learn how to do. So let's get stuck into it and tell you what you guys need. So today what we're going to use is a big sketch pad, some sketching pencils, pencil sharpener of course, some tissue paper in case we want to do any rubbing, and we're going to use a bowl of fruit with an avocado, an apple and a lemon to draw. And today we're drawing in the Charlie Boots kitchen because most of the arts and crafts that our mums and dads and kids do at home is either in the kitchen or on the dining table. So that's exactly what we're doing today. So it's also important when you're sketching, you get yourself really comfortable. Find a comfy seat, make sure your table's at the right height, get all the materials you need so that when you start, you can really zone in and focus on what you want to draw. You don't have to stop. So let's turn the camera around, get you guys looking over my shoulder and you can watch and I'll talk you through how we're going to draw this little bowl of fruit here. Okay, I'm set up. I've got myself a HB pencil, which is the one I'll be using today. And before I get started, I want to think about how big do I actually want my drawing to be? Do I want it to be, a little one up here in the corner? Do I want it to be something a bit bigger? Or do I want it to take the whole piece of paper? So I'm going to lightly draw a line right down the middle here. And if it's a bit wavy, that's okay. It's just to use as a reference. And that's the middle of our page. And then from here, I'm going to draw a rough sort of size of the shape of the bowl here. And I'm not looking at it straight down, so it's not going to be a circle, it's going to be an oval shape. So we need to figure out what that shape's going to be first, and then we go from there. And that'll give us how big our sketch is going to be. So when I'm using my pencil, I don't hold it right at the end when I'm sketching because I'm not writing, I'm drawing. So I want to give myself a bit more flow, have a bit more freedom for the pencil to follow its own path. So I'm just going to draw a bowl, an oval here. Now I can flatten out the edges here a bit. The key is here to be nice and light, not being really heavy. I just want to get that shape right. Take out some extra lines I don't need. Using the eraser on the back of this HB pencil. Either pencil will do. Right now I'm using a technique where I'm resting my hand, my little finger, on the page. I'm using it to create an arc. Just want to get a bit more roundness towards the back of the bowl. And then from here, I'm going to think about where's my fruit. So we've got an apple, a lemon, and an avocado. And if I look at this picture, if I draw an imaginary line through here, the apple is just slightly above that. So here's my line. So I'm going to draw a rough apple shape here. And then my lemon, the top of the lemon from where I'm sitting, it doesn't go over the edge of the bowl. So I think about that when I'm drawing. And I'm just going to do a rough lemon shape here. It comes very close to the edge, but it doesn't go over it. And you can see sketching is all about looking at what's in front of you, and instead of going straight for the details, get the big picture first. So then I have my avocado. The avocado is hard up against the side of the lemon here. So I just start making a bit of a shape out this way. I can see the avocado has a curve one way and then it curves the other way. So it goes around like this and then around like that. So that's what's loosely trying to replicate that here. And it's a nice even curve across the top, not too pointed. And it's pretty straight down the side here. And then from where I'm sitting, I can just see a tiny little bit of the bowl coming down here to the base. Probably about a finger's width, so somewhere down here. And then it curves just ever so much, a little bit here, and then it just disappears up the side. Something like that. So already we can see we have our apple, our lemon, and our avocado. And now what I want to do is focus on doing the detail things at the front of my sketch. So I'm going to start with my apple, and starting from just the basic outline, I'm just going to start making that a bit more structured. So I'm a bit more control now with the pencil, still not pushing hard. The good thing about fruit and a lot of natural objects is they aren't perfectly round or perfectly square or perfectly straight. So it's important that we try and replicate that, and it's easier to do that way. So I'm now looking at the center of my apple. It's slightly to the right of my center line here, somewhere about here. Do a little mark, have a look at it. Yeah, maybe I might make that just a little bit lower. And then we can just give it a little bit of depth. And you can see there's these lines here that come out of the apple. We can see the lines. We can see these little specks here as well. You know, there's some dark sections, there's some light sections, and obviously there's a lot of shadow in the center of that. So we're going to try and replicate a little bit of that now. Just drawing some lines here. I can also see that there's some shine. So the light is coming from multiple directions, but I can see a bit of shine here. I can see a bit of shine there. So I need to think about that as I'm doing my sketches, because I want to leave those areas white to replicate that shine. Now I'm going to draw the front of my bowl here. There's lots of shading in here. Get some of that darkness happening at the base of the bowl. And this is just called hatching. We're keeping the shadow in one direction. At this point, we can get a bit of lead on the page, holding my pencil on its side, making sure I don't go past the outline of my lemon. I can use my tissue here just to blend that in. Best to use a tissue compared to your finger, because your finger has oils on it, the natural oils on your fingers. So using a tissue keeps the oils off the page, means there's less dark smudging. It's a more consistent blending of the lead on the page. So we can do the same over here. I can see some shadow lines here, the avocado coming up the side here. So I can sort of really define where I want my bowl shape to go. shadow. Goes down the inside of the bowl. Comes a little bit close here, and then there's the apple has a shadow over here as well. So this section through the bowl is a bit lighter. So I'm going to try and keep that light. And that's a pretty clear edge there where that shadow is. So we're not going to blur over that. So over here, we'll look at that lemon. Start with the tip of the lemon. And sort of comes in a bit, and then the shape that goes in behind. Bit of a flatter section there, that rolls around and behind there. And this lemon has a little dark tip there. This is obviously where the lemon grew from the tree. And lemons are bumpy, so it's important to remember that when you're doing that drawing. So I can see that yes, there's a line here, more of a line this way. There's definitely some shading to do, some detail in there here. By holding the pencil lower, you get more contact with the page. If the pencil is very upright, and then you get just the very tip of it touching. If you lay the pencil over, you get a lot more of it. And you can see that as you rotate it, there may be sections of the lead that are more exposed than other areas here. So if you want to have more shading, use that side. If you have less shading, rotate the pencil. Bit of a shadow line coming through here. It's actually, this is a reflection line. And the porcelain of the bowl. So I make this quite dark down in here. Where possible, I'm trying to keep all my strokes in the same direction. I can even use my shadowing to outline the shape of the avocado. So I want to bring this side of the avocado, I want to bring it in just a little bit. So instead of using a line, I can just shade in to create that curve that I'm looking for. It's important though that you don't go too far. Just only what you need. And that's actually a technique that you can use is to shadow over your defining lines, and that'll create a bit more of a natural edge to it. So let's have a look at this side of the avocado. So there's a very clear distinction between the dark green of the avocado here and the lighter white porcelain of the bowl. So I do want to try and get that line as clear as possible, and remembering that there's on the surface of the avocado there is some bumps and some pits, so that we can make that line just a little bit bumpy. We don't want to make it perfectly smooth. And the same as it goes up and over the top here. And blending that line into my shading. So now I'm going to look at where the stalk or the stem used to be of the avocado, and try and get a reference point. I can see the back of the bowl goes in behind it. So it's more or less and similar to the apple, we have these growth lines that work in their way in towards where that stem used to be. So I'm going to try and replicate that. Now to shade in the avocado, I'm going to actually use my lines which are here to add detail and shading at the same time. So when I'm looking at this image, I can see that the shadow is lighter than the actual dark green of the avocado. So that means when I'm down here and I'm drawing this in, I can actually push pretty hard. And I want to use my pencil in the direction of the shape of the avocado. I'm also trying to do it so you guys can see on the camera as well at the same time. It is so dark down the bottom here that you actually can't see any or very little of the detail and the texture of the skin of the avocado. You can just see dark shadow down there. So to get that darkness, you really have to push pretty hard with your pencil, and you may need to go over it several times. And also put down the tissue paper here, so you can put your hand on top of the drawing, and it won't smudge the work with the oils in your skin. So that same darkness is almost the same on the other side here next to the lemon. Because the bottom of an avocado is almost the same shape as a ball, and it means that the shading comes up gradually as if it were a circle. So it's a darker curve down the bottom, and it's a slightly lighter curve on top of that. As you can see here, I'm not pushing quite as hard now with my pencil. But what I don't want to do is have clear distinctions between the darkest parts and the lighter parts. So I can use my tissue paper and I can do some rubbing. And rubbing upwards, like so. And of course, the avocado has lots of little bumps which we've got to try and replicate. And an easy way to sort of do that is to just draw some lines in the direction that they go. And they're not straight lines, they have a slight little curve to them or a little flick. They do mostly go in that same direction. And they're not very long, they're quite short, so it's important to try and replicate that without making it look like the little lines are hairs. So we do have to blend them in. So now looking at our apple, it's a bit trickier, the apple, because it's a smooth shape and it has some shine through here. So I want to leave this section as much as I can. So I'm just going to mark that out. And there's also another little bit of shine here and just a funny sort of blob shape on either side, because you have light coming from multiple directions. And then of course we have our lines coming out, and then we have our little specks. So what we're going to do is just define the different areas between the shades of the apple, the lighter shades and then the darker shades through here. So it's definitely darker on this side, and then underneath, and then right down in here. Just going to outline these different lighter sections to give me an idea of where I want to keep them just that little bit brighter. Over here, that's pretty much it. Maybe a little section through there. It's important when you're doing your shadowing to keep that definition of the shape just as it is in the picture here. I don't want to blur the edge of my apple into the shadow of the bowl. I want to keep those two edges very distinct. And if I look in here, this is the darkest part of that shadow. And the last thing is the lemon. So the lemon is a yellow color. So you got to think about, well, okay, I've got one shade here, which is great. How do I do a bright color like a yellow? And the keys there is pretty much just to focus on the shading, and remember that the yellow lemon is on a white background. So if you think about what is the most brightest thing here in our drawing, and it's almost a combination of the lemon and the bowl, which is different colors but very similar brightness. You could even say that the lemon is brighter than the bowl itself, than the white. So that means we need to keep this color brighter, which means there's less shading than the rest of our drawing. So with that in mind, what we'll do is probably continue doing our shading of our bowl, keeping our edges defined. And there's not a lot of darkness back here, but there's just a bit. And there's a little bit of shading here on that side of the lemon. And I want to try and keep the rim of the bowl without any shading. So I'm just going to loosely sort of draw that in through there. And this is some very light stuff. And for this, I will put a bit of lead down, and then I will be blurring this with my tissue paper. It doesn't need to be very, very deep at all. So our shading over here needs to come up quite a bit, and there's a bit of an outline that sort of curves around this way and then merges back in through here. So we can add some darkness down in here and then bring it up to the top. darker shadow line probably extends somewhere around here. So we can definitely push a bit firmer into this area. You see then when I went from shading to a bit more detail work, and I rolled the pencil in my fingers just so I had the pointier tip for more control. And I'm rolling it back again to do my shading. A bit more shading to do over here. We can see the defined shadow lines created by our light source of our apple, which is here. This is the edge of the apple through here. And so we then have some more shading to do it through here, but not a lot. Very similar to what we did back here. I'm going to use the contours of the bowl. You can see I'm going up with the contours of the bowl where possible. Doing the same thing here. As you see, not very much at all. Before I go any further, I might just blend a bit of that through. Start removing some of these extra lines now. There's my central line. Going top and bottom and left and right. I can remove those now. Use a clean tissue to wipe off any of the erasing. So that's what we're up to so far. You can see we still need to do some texture and some shading on our lemon. We need to finish off the bottom part of our bowl here as well. So let's do the lemon. And the detail of the lemon is that there's just thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of little dots, little pores over the whole surface of that lemon. So we're going to try and replicate that as best as we can. So the first thing we'll do is we'll add our shading, which is not going to be very much at all, as we've spoken about, but we do need some to give it some depth. And there'll be some down here. Alright, a little bit more over here. And I want to blend this because the shading that I've got in close to the avocado here needs to be a lot more natural looking. It just looks a bit too robotic. Maybe I'm going to do a lot more. Going to add more shading and then blend the shading. To let whoever's looking at the picture know that there was a bit of texture there on that lemon. We don't need to go too hard on it. Alright, so there is the fruit and the inside of the bowl done. Now I just need to draw the outside of the bowl, and there's not a lot there. As I said, I may even, with my sketching, have put a bit too much in there, and that's okay. I can take some of that out. Because from where I'm sitting, there's not much at all. So it's the bottom curve of the bowl, Not even that much. And there's a very clear white rim around the bowl, which we want to keep. So I'm going to leave a section white right around the outside. And as it comes up here, we'll probably take some of the darkness out of this line here and this one. In reality, the edge of the bowl isn't that dark. It's defined, but it's certainly not dark, it's light. So we want to keep that light. The same over here, we can take out some of these very dark lines that I was using earlier. And the kids have just got home and we've finished, which is great. So there is our completed bowl.